call this meeting to order, and we'll start with the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. All right, we're going to start with some recognition and celebration of some great things. So I think first and foremost is Board Bravo. So anything you guys would like to shout out?
I think we'd be remiss to kind of kick it off without acknowledging all the end of the year celebrations that sort of capped off a great school year, all the promotion ceremonies, excellent job with graduations, all that. It takes the whole village to make it happen, and I think everything went really well from what I could observe and what I learned.
Yes, I attended the 8th grade farewell, so with an 8th grader, so that was a nice ceremony, and I know all the elementary schools had events, and obviously as well as the high school. So congratulations to students and teachers on finishing the school year and celebrating it accordingly.
Yeah, we just need spring to end.
Well, the rain.
And then we wrapped up a lot of spring sports. You should say it, what baseball.
I know.
Baseball did really well. We had a JV regional champs, and the varsity team was also regional champs. Had a disappointing end on Friday, but not to take away from the celebration that team had. So it was a lot of fun to watch. And the softball team were regional runner-ups, and actually our freshman girls were regional track champs. So it was great.
So a lot of great spring sports conclusions. I know we're gonna hear about the Cappies, so we'll celebrate that. Some great things to celebrate in the arts as well. Other things that...
I mean, it was a fantastic year. Ms. Harms and Mr. Wells and I have been putting together the last edition of Traditions for this school year, and it was a neat problem to have because we had to reorganize our state champions page because we couldn't fit them all on the singular page. So we had to do some reformatting and some changes, and it's just a testament to how hard our students work and the people that support them, coaches, teachers, sponsors, administrators. It was a great year.
And parents.
And parents, yes, of course.
Had some retirement ceremonies, I think.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. We had over 3 centuries of experience that retired this year, so we're gonna miss those individuals a great deal. So, all right. I think we'll just continue rolling with talking about some great individuals. So I think you will tell us about our Tradition of Excellence Awards.
Yeah, we have 3 recipients of Tradition of Excellence Awards. There are opportunities to recognize outstanding teachers, staff, administrators, counselors, students, and community members, and it is open for anyone to make a recommendation. The first person that we're going to recognize is Miss Carrie Murray. Carrie Murray, we started teaching together a couple years ago, but she was recommended. I did. She was recommended by Kim Klein, who is unable to be here this evening, but I'm going to read some of her words from Miss Murray. It says, "With great enthusiasm, I nominate Miss Carrie Murray for the Tradition of Excellence Award. She exemplifies the spirit of Fort Thomas Independent Schools, rich in tradition, focused on the future through her unwavering commitment to both her colleagues and students. She's a model of what it's meant to be an empathetic collaborator and a courageous leader, consistently going above and beyond, not only in professional role, but her personal support for those around her. She's the kind of person who shows up not just physically, but emotionally and wholeheartedly for the people in her life. Her presence brings a sense of calm, care, and groundedness that makes a lasting impact. This year, she stepped up in a big way when our colleague, our principal, was on maternity leave. Without hesitation, she took additional responsibilities to ensure our science department remained strong, organized, and student-focused. Her leadership during this time was nothing short of extraordinary. She managed lesson planning, departmental coordination, and student support with grace and grit, always keeping the bigger picture in mind. Carrie doesn't just solve problems, she approaches challenges with thoughtfulness and creativity, modeling the creative problem solver and curious critical thinker competencies. She helps others think deeply and differently, and her ability to connect across differences makes her an exceptional global communicator as well. Carrie Murray is an anchor of excellence in our school community. She is richly rooted in the traditions of care, service, and professionalism, while also pushing us to grow toward a better future. Her work attitude and her heart make Fort Thomas a better place for everyone lucky enough to know her. And I definitely second those thoughts. So congratulations, Ms. Murray.
I'm just smiling and nodding because I team taught with Carrie a few years ago, as Brian says, and that is all very, very true.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
We're now calling 2 decades plus a few years ago.
yeah, it's all relative. Yeah. All right, so continuing on with honoring some amazing people in our district.
We have 2 other Tradition of Excellence awards, and it was made mention that we had some retirement recognitions this past month. So we're going to celebrate 2 really critically important individuals for supporting the backbone of who we are as a district. So I'd like to first recognize Jody Johnson. Jody Johnson, our Director of Technology, our Chief Information Officer. Jody has been with us for 11 years and has had his thumb on taking us into a district of innovation. He came here with part of the sole initial step was to lead the digital conversion. And I can't imagine a better individual to lead that conversation of supporting in a calm way teachers who may be reluctant for change, of thinking of the infrastructure of what students and support staff and teachers need, of being a truly critical and creative problem solver. There was nothing that seemed to get him, even though occasionally you get a little shy of, I don't know if we can do this, but we just needed a little bit more time. I have not met someone who is a better planner, a better strategic thinker, and someone who just really wants to do a great job. Jody is a jack of all trades, sort of a Renaissance guy. He's also led us through at least two refreshes since we've done our digital conversion. So we are going to miss Jody greatly. This is his last board meeting in his role, and so I ask everyone to welcome him and congratulate him for his Tradition of Excellence.
Thanks, Jody.
I know he's gonna miss sitting back there and recording. Yeah, you can always be a volunteer board recorder. And to round out our awards, one last one.
Yeah, our last tradition.
A backbone.
Yes, absolutely. Our last Tradition of Excellence award is for Mr. Jerry Wisman. Is Jerry in here? There he is. Jerry Wisman's been with our school district for 29 years. He started here as a social studies teacher in the middle school. He was the first assistant principal for Highlands Middle School. He has literally been part of the complete and total renaissance of our facilities in this district. There is not a new building, a reconstructed building, or a renovated building, minus the central office, that Jerry hasn't had a tremendous impact on. He knows as much about every system, every construction blueprint, every roof that you could possibly imagine. But mostly what Jerry brings to our team is a true heart of a servant. At any point you could call Jerry and he would be on his way to make sure that our students were ready for school, that our teachers were ready to do what needed to be done. He will be very, very difficult to replace, and we celebrate him here on his very last board meeting as well, where he gets to present the largest pay app in his history. So thank you, Jerry, and let's congratulate him on his tradition.
Jerry.
Start cashing those in.
All right, so let's recognize some great students and hear more about our CAPPy's winners. So I think Ms. Slanicka may step up here and lead, and I bet some students will as well, because I see some in the audience.
They're not shy.
So we had 24 nominees, correct?
Find your life, Ms. Leonard.
Very great. So we participate in the Cincinnati CAPPy's program, which is a tri-state area awards program that combines journalism with live performance and theater. And so we took SpongeBob the musical to the CAPPy's. And we got 24 nominations, which was really incredible across the CAPPy's critics journalism, as well as technical categories and performing categories, as well as best show. So it was pretty incredible. We got to attend the gala 2 weeks, 3? Oh, I don't know when it was. It was a while ago. There we are. Look at us. And we took home 6 awards, which was really incredible. Charlotte took home a returning critic award. She's a fantastic writer. Not just that, but fantastic actress, stage manager extraordinaire. Jack of all trades was thrown out. That's Charlotte. Harrison Schultz and the incredible construction team took home for best set, which was really something special. They worked really hard. And it was all them, so that was something that was really proud for me to see. We had the hair and makeup team also take home a CAPPy, which was really fun because I think you guys had a lot of fun with just wigs and makeup and all that stuff. Costumes, creativity for Jack Longlinay, and technical direction, as well as special effects and technology for Oliver Martin. He built projections, which was wild. Did I miss anyone? I think that's it, right? Yeah. Do you guys want to say anything?
Introduce yourself.
Yeah, introduce yourself, tell us your.
She's not thrilled about this.
I'm Sophia Hamilton. I just graduated, so it was actually my first time on Makeup Crew, so I was just along for the ride.
It's a fun show.
Yeah.
I imagine SpongeBob doing hair and makeup for.
I'm gonna pass it because I feel weird.
Hi, I'm Addison Green. This is my second time on Makeup Crew and my third show, and it was my first gala, so that was really exciting. And I just graduated, so yeah.
Hello, I'm Charlotte Weghorst. I've been doing the CAPPy's critic team since freshman year. Part of the CAPPy's team, along with all the amazing writers on our CAPPy's team who do so much. Shout out to Nora Shadwell, our team captain. And I am going into my senior year at Highlands High School.
I'm Harrison. I'm also going to my senior year of Highlands High School. I've been doing theater since 7th grade, but I was only acting up until freshman year. And then I've just been kind of doing set until then. Yeah, it's a big deal to win.
I'm glad you guys came even during the summer to a nice Monday night board meeting. Yeah.
How many have won CAPPy before? Or is this all first timer?
Oh, that's cool.
Well,
Jack, right?
I won last year for Sweeney.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people.
In that, like,
Oh, not last year, 2 years ago.
2 years
ago.
2 years ago.
Okay.
I've never won it.
You haven't won, okay.
No, I've never won.
Oh, okay.
I think Jack has won one.
Jack won.
And
Oh, we know, sweet ensemble.
Yeah.
cobblers together.
All right, the really important question is, where are you going to put your CAPPy? Have you found a place of honor? You know, I think about it, it's like an Oscar, a Tony, an Emmy type thing. Is it, gonna go on display on the mantle or anything? You guys probably have a lot of awards, so maybe it just will find a home amongst all those.
Where is it? Where's yours?
Mine's sitting on my desk.
Okay.
I'm sure it's been dusted.
Yeah.
Mine's next to my younger brother George's spelling bee trophy.
Oh, yeah.
For your state championship.
Yeah. 24 nominations is phenomenal.
On your desk.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't know where yours is?
Don't know.
Yes, I'm feeling that we get some lines.
Now, we always ask the seniors, what are your plans?
where do you like going to college?
I'm going to college at William and Mary.
Okay. In the arts?
No,
No.
I'm gonna major in history and do their pre-law track.
Very good, okay.
I'm going to Northwest Florida State College, and I'm getting my undergraduate degree.
Very cool.
Good luck.
So,
Good luck.
So this show, winning the Cappy is the equivalent for us of a state championship. It is the top recognition that we know within the region. For those who have attended a Cappy before, the Cappy's program before, it's an amazing night at the Aronoff. So we congratulate you, and you know, watching SpongeBob, it was a fantastic show from the set to obviously to the makeup and the costumes, but the acting was phenomenal, and a shout out to Ms. Lineker for that. So congratulations, thank you so much for all your leadership and support of our students, and we congratulate you on your state championship, basically.
Congratulations.
All right. So next up, we have our community forum. And just to start us off, I'd like to share the following statement as a reminder. The community forum portion of the meeting of the Board of Education is an opportunity for members of the community to informally address the board about a variety of topics, including issues for future consideration. Since the topics raised may not be issues listed and advertised on the public agenda, the community forum is not intended to be a setting for dialogue with the board. Direct questions may be referred to the appropriate district personnel for future response, answered briefly if a matter of procedure, or tabled as they may be a future agenda item. Speakers who have registered at the reception area are asked to identify themselves and state their reason for addressing the board. Please address the Board of Education as a whole through the chairperson rather than the individual members. And I do believe we have a 2-minute time limit, so that'll be kept by Ms. Harms. And first up, and we'll just go in order of the slips that I have. And I do apologize, I will try to nail names, but please do correct me if I mispronounce anything. We have Melissa Shell. So Ms. Shell, if you'd like to come up, and the microphone is there.
I have it prepared written out, so I'll just read from what I have here. Good evening, Superintendent Robinson and members of the school board and everyone here tonight. I'm here to ask that Highlands High School graduation ceremony be moved to a different location, one that is safer, fully accessible, and large enough to hold all of our families. Right now, the school venue doesn't meet fire code capacity for the size of our graduating class and their guests. It also isn't fully ADA compliant, which affects many people, including my own family. My mother-in-law lives with partial paralysis and uses a cane or walker to get around. As things stand, it would be incredibly difficult and potentially unsafe for her to attend. Graduation is a major life milestone. Every student should be able to celebrate it with those who help them get there, including those who are elderly or disabled. No one should have to choose which family members can come because there's not enough room or because the building isn't accessible. I understand the desire to keep the ceremony at the school out of tradition, but not every family shares that tradition. In fact, most don't come from Fort Thomas for generations. Our community is made up of people from many different backgrounds, and we can't apply one custom to everyone, especially when it results in excluding others. Moving the ceremony to a larger ADA compliant venue wouldn't be abandoning tradition, it would be choosing safety, equity, and respect. And it would show that we care about every student and every family. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have Molly Wagner.
Hello. Alright, well, I'm Molly Wagner. I am a Highlands graduate, class of 2000. And in 2000, I had 4 parents, 2 brothers, and 5 living grandparents that would have all liked to see me graduate. I was given 3 graduation tickets and fought hard for a 4th just so all 4 of my parents could come. Fast forward to 2028 or 2030 when my children will graduate. God willing, they'll have 6 grandparents that will want to see them receive their diplomas. I'm here pleading that we move graduation to a venue that can accommodate all of our families and members who have supported our graduates. Beyond that, it's just no longer possible to graduate a class from the PAC, and here's why. Did you know, just looking at last year's graduating class of 223 students, you were in violation of multiple codes, starting with the stage, which sits 223 graduates along with faculty, board members, and other people participating in the ceremony. Per code, you have to have 7 square feet per person on that stage. The stage is only 1,250 square feet, leaving you to only have 178 people on that stage. That's not just graduates, that's a total number of people. The other is having too many people in the PAC. The PAC holds 908 max capacity. You gave each graduate 4 tickets, so you gave out 892 of that capacity, leaving you about 16 available spots for other board members, band members, AV and theater volunteers, and other people working on the ceremony. So the PAC isn't an option, so please, let's start the conversation of where to move the graduation and not if we should move the graduation. It's not about where you graduate, it's about where you graduate from. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have Lisa Littner.
Hello, I'm Lisa Littner, and I have 2 daughters, class of 2026 and 2030. And I'm not going to repeat the things that the other speakers have said, but I am here to speak about the same thing. I am asking for you to permanently move the venue to a different location that is not the PAC and not the football field, and not just for the class of 2026. We do know that our class is big at 289 and would not fit on the stage. We're asking it for it to be a permanent move. I know you might wonder what the kids want. My daughter is working as a camp counselor this weekend, is not here, but she said that she does want her sister to come. She wants her grandparents to come to graduation. She wants it to be planned. It doesn't want the restrictions of the PAC. But what she does, she would miss the tradition of the pictures in front of the high school. And so we as parents would be willing to organize something so that the kids could still come and wouldn't need the indoor facilities, but could still have these, traditional pictures with each other outside of the building. And for her, it's not really where she graduates, it's just, having her family there and then being with her friends for that picture. So, not gonna reiterate the other reasons, because I think they were very well stated before, but we're asking you to really give this consideration and to move quickly, because the class of 2026 venues are limited at this time for next year. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next, Angela Aber, did I get that right? Aber. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Angela Aber.
It looks fancier than it is.
I know, I don't know why 4 letters intimidated me.
It's the best way. And we've also been called Abers, Abner, so anyway, it's okay. Yeah, I'm Angela Aber. I am a total transplant. I come from Southeast Missouri. My local school district where I graduated from, we had 315 in our class, and we actually used the local college for our venue. It was the local basketball stadium, and very much like NKU and Truist, they have multiple ceremonies throughout, the graduation time. So for me, again, it wasn't, just like everybody else has stated already, it wasn't where I graduated from, it was who I graduated with. And it was it was the name on the diploma. It wasn't actually where I was at. My children have been part of, we were 2023 graduation, and it was a gorgeous day. It was outside, it was fabulous, beautiful weather. But we only received 6 tickets. And my daughter, who graduated that year, has a split family. And we had to choose between who was gonna get to go and who wasn't gonna get to go. Also on the other side of it, as far as the ADA compliance side, my mother wasn't comfortable coming because of the distance of how far she would have to walk due to the limited parking, and also because it was outside and she has sensitivity to the sun, right? Fast forward to this year, again, we were limited in tickets, but then
on the other side of it, we were forced indoors at the last minute. And when I mean last minute, 6 hours prior to roughly is when we received the email. And while it was a joy to see my son graduate, again, we had to limit who was able to see them and who was actually able to be there. There was also a situation at the beginning, right beforehand, that if we were at a different location, could have been taken care of by their, the Truist security and whatnot, and not our actual administration. And I do hope that she's doing well now. And then, thank you. Doggone it, I have one more kid.
If you want to finish it, we don't want I was the third, so I don't want the third to feel left out, so please share about the third.
You already missed out on all the birthdays.
Yeah, I know.
So, I'm sorry. So we had 2023, which is outside. We had 2025, which is inside. But then 2030, I'm not sure on their class size, but it would just be really nice if the entire family could get to be there. In 2023, again, whenever we had to move around some tickets, the 2025 graduate had to be an usher, so then that way we could make room for other people. So that was our way around that one. So yes, 2026 is a very large class, but moving forward, it would be really great, just on the logistical side of things. And if you need help with logistics, I'm really good at that. But as far as that goes, we really need a bigger space. So thank you.
All right, next we have Jody Ship.
Hello, my name is Jody Ship, and I'm a mom of a graduate of 2025, and also I have one in 29. And so I'm here to both speak from my experience from this year, but then also to hope for change for 29. Again, a permanent change. There are classes in as big as 26s, but a permanent change. I agree with everything that everyone has spoken so far, so ditto on all that. But some new comments is in 25. It was moved inside, so we were limited on our tickets. My son's support system was not all able to attend. It was his support system that helped get him through these last 12 years. So it was really sad to be like, oh, we're inside, now you can't come. And so that's really who needs to be there, and that's who he remembers versus where he's physically at the school. I also witnessed, as far as ADA, we don't have anyone handicapped in our family, but luckily we were able to get dropped off at the door. But it was disappointing that the loop was closed, especially if it was pouring down, which is why you would be in the pack. So I'm a little confused about why the loop was closed. I think that would really help, not to mention the poor parking just in general at the school. I also witnessed, I was assigned a seat in the balcony, which is great. My son said, you're not gonna be able to see me if you're on the floor, because he was mid to back. I wasn't able to see him at all. They are so crammed on that stage, I couldn't see him at all. I personally graduated from Oak Hills, 600 people, and we graduated at the Coliseum. You're spread out, family can see you, you can let them know what row you're in advance because of the practices, and the family can figure out where to sit, and there's no limit. And you are able to see the student. I know it feels like a big arena, but you are able to see the student from the side. Whereas my experience this year, no, I couldn't see him at all. Also, when I was in the balcony, because there's not an elevator that goes all the way to the balcony, I witnessed a woman really struggling. She would have a walker, and her family had to go each side of her and practically lift her up that last flight of steps. Not my family, but I just want to let you know what I saw, and that's not right. Another thing is that I'm a planner, I'm a project manager by trade, and if we were to pick one location, all weather permitting, we could do an awesome job. You could have 2 different selfie booths and really make it, blue and white everywhere. You could have more members of the band there and more equipment, which I know was a problem this year. You could have more people from the choir there. Just one location, none of this plan B situation, but one location that would work for everything. It could really be spectacular. And to plan ahead, so we have a date, because I know things sell out. it would just be great to have that planning. And again, I'm really great at planning too. So if you need any help on that one. But those are my considerations, and I just really hope that.
Jody, sorry, the time was up a bit ago, but
I'm
you, okay,
I'm done.
awesome, well then perfect.
Yeah.
Because
Amy's
Amy,
too nice.
I know Amy's not. I know, but, and I was like, and she'll wrap up, and you did, so that worked out perfectly. All right, thank you. All right, next we have Jill Spears.
Hi, my name is Jill Spears, and thank you for letting me speak. I wanted to share the perspective of somebody who had a 2025 graduate, and I also, my son graduates next year. So, much bigger class than my daughter's, and I wanted to focus on the perspective of the kids. I don't think that's been discussed yet, but I echo what everybody has said. I specifically asked them a couple weeks before graduation, do you care where you graduate? Both of them immediately no. They just want to be with their friends and as many family as possible. And of course, with the current venue, it would be great to be on the football field, yes, but Mother Nature doesn't always cooperate. And there's some stats out there that in our area, almost 50% of the days in May are rain. And unfortunately, that's what happened this year too. So my perspective on the ceremony, it didn't really feel that special to me. And I think my daughter would say the same. It felt stressful and rushed and impersonal. And I'm sure it was for Highlands staff and faculty as well, who had to switch gears at the last minute. And I think this is totally preventable for the same reasons that everybody else has been saying. Let's use one venue, you know ahead of time where you're going, and it's easier for staff and faculty too. So lastly, I want to say, you know, we talk about the kids, we're here for the kids. We want to make graduation special. So let's survey them. Let's use the third party and survey them. Let's get what they want to do. Give them the facts. We have all kinds of stats that we've pulled together. Let's show them the facts from the last several years and get their opinion. So we're here for them. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Alicia Dudinsky, I butchered it, Alicia, I'm sorry. Dudowski, yeah, sorry, Alicia. Okay, Dudowski, and I won't.
Good afternoon, thank you for allowing me to speak today. I'm Alicia Dudowski, class of 96. My 4 children are 4th generation Highlands students, 22 and 23 alumni, and class of 26 and 28. I come to you today asking consideration for a change to an off-site location for the class of 26 and beyond. The packed graduation of 22 caused a lot of stress and anxiety for many families. Unpredictable weather made the original and makeup dates for an outside graduation impossible. Each family received 3 tickets. That afternoon, people were scrambling on Facebook and via phone to get tickets for step-parents, siblings, and others. Some had family who came in from out of town and country who had to leave before the makeup date. Some graduates missed the ceremony due to conflicts with college orientations. The ceremony felt hurried and impersonal. While I'm happy to know that the alternate date is no longer an option, I've heard that the 2025 graduation was more of the same scrambling and disappointment, and none of this should ever be an issue in our district. The primary and most important function of a school district is to educate its students. Graduation is the culmination of hard work, dedication, and perseverance. For most, it's the biggest milestone they've reached in their young lives. It does our kids a disservice to have to pick and choose who to get to share this monumental occasion with. Schools all around our area and most schools in Northern Kentucky hold their ceremonies in large rented venues, most with unlimited tickets at no or minimal charge to students and their families. We need to find a way to make that happen here. Not to mention parking and accessibility, as they've already talked about. I also hear people citing tradition as a reason to stay on campus. The tradition of Highlands is the education, walking the halls, sitting in the same classrooms, the stands, watching performances on the same stages as parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, neighbors, friends. It's not walking across the packed stage or across the field on the H. It's the tradition is graduating from Highlands, not at Highlands. What better way to honor tradition than by allowing all those who came before them and all important people in their lives to have a comfortable, accommodating location to celebrate the new generation of Highlands alumni. Whether you grew up here or you moved in last week, everyone should have the opportunity to celebrate with our graduates. It's time to start a new tradition. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Scott Chip.
Hello, I'm Scott Chip, and I have a somewhat relation to Jody who spoke earlier, so same kids. Unlike her though, I'm Porter from the west side. I am a lifelong Fort Thomas resident, never had a zip code other than 41075 my entire life, and I truly do value tradition. But I feel like maybe the concept of tradition might be misapplied in the case of having an on-campus graduation. Because when I think through traditions in our family, I think through like how we celebrate certain events and milestones in our lives. We realize that, sometimes we might have to change the place or change the time. We might have to change the place and the time. But what we realize is that we are always thinking, how do we make sure that everyone's involved, everyone's included, and we have activities that everyone enjoys? And I think that maybe having that filtering question of, can we make sure that we have an event that everyone's involved in the activities they enjoy, and guiding that will let you make it on a year-by-year basis. What's the best way to implement a graduation ceremony? When I think through the experiences, I know a lot of people mentioned problematic parts of the experience, but I do think the people who should have the most valued experience would be the actual graduating students themselves, and just watching them at the stage, and the speakers are back to the speaker, right? So they're not really even seeing the expressions of those speaking. So it's almost like it's an odd experience, I think, from the seniors itself. So I think, making sure that the kids can actually see the ceremony, be part of it from that perspective as well is also very important. I know my son had mentioned after the fact that he really liked what the valedictorian had to say, and I thought she was excellent. But he really couldn't understand everything, and also just wasn't able to see her expressions or see her as she gave her presentation too. So again, value tradition, but I think maybe when you think of tradition as, how do we provide the best experience and the best opportunity for our kids to be there and are included as revenue as possible. So thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, next is Pam Schultz.
Hello, as you know, I am Pam Schultz, and I'm an incoming senior that you recognized earlier, so thank you for shouting out the theater kids. Thank you for being here and your continued commitment to making our graduation ceremony meaningful for all involved. I'd like to speak about a decision that continues to be discussed, the need to relocate the 2026 high school graduation ceremony to a new venue. For many years, graduation has been held at Highlands, and we recognize the strong traditions associated with that setting. We respect the memories that have been made there and understand the sense of continuity it offers for students, families, and alumni alike. However, the reality we're facing is that our current space can no longer adequately serve the needs of our growing school community. With the incoming seniors having a class of 289, we've reached a point where the limitations of the venue, whether it be seating capacity, accessibility, parking, or weather-related risks, are preventing us from offering the kind of inclusive, comfortable, and dignified experience that our graduates and their families deserve. Graduation is not just about upholding tradition. It's about celebrating every student's achievement in a way that honors their journey. Moving to a larger, more accommodating location allows us to welcome more guests, provide better amenities, and ensure that no one feels left out of this important milestone. This change isn't about disregarding the past. It's about recognizing how we've grown and making space, literally and symbolically, for everyone to be a part of the celebration. Traditions matter, but they should evolve in ways that reflect the needs of our community today. Please remember that several graduation ceremonies have not taken place at Highlands due to construction or a global pandemic. I'm sure those students are grateful that they could all graduate together, regardless of location. It's not about where you graduate from, it's who you graduate with. It's a great day to be a Bluebird, regardless of location. With that in mind, we are asking for an open conversation about this. We did offer a survey that had some pretty interesting results, with 88% of the respondents out of 245 asking for a move. We would like to collaborate on offering an objective district-wide survey for students and parents and guardians. The truth is that it is possible for the class of 2026 to graduate from Highlands High School unless it is on the field due to fire codes in the pack, and even that has its drawbacks. We appreciate your understanding, your feedback, and your support as we take this step forward. Our goal is, and always will be, to create a ceremony worthy of our students and their accomplishments. Collaboration is key, and I look forward to working with you in the future regarding next steps for the class of 2026 and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. And I believe the last one, unless Jamie or Keith or anybody, okay, is Tiffany Davies. Did I get it?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna end on a strong note, sorry.
We often
Tiff-
get Davis, so I appreciate.
Well, I would,
the-
I can do it right.
I think I'm loud enough that I don't need a microphone, so.
What?
This is my husband Doug, he's up here for moral support, so, I echo everything that everybody has already said, but I wanna take a personal approach to this and tell you a story. In 2006, my husband and I bought a home in Highland Heights, where we live. We're tuition parents. We may be the only tuition parents that are here tonight. At the time, we didn't know whether we were gonna have children, and, you know, several years later, we ended up having a son. He's our only son. And I wanna tell you that his family is very enriched in Fort Thomas. His mother was a 1966 alum. His father, my father-in-law, was a teacher at Highlands for several years. His grandmother was the treasurer of the school board. His godmother was the treasurer of the school board. His grandmother was a lifelong retired, like I devoted her career to Fort Thomas schools and basically retired from the admin building. When Drew was 3 years old, we put him on the waiting list. Yes, at the time, there was a waiting list to get into Fort Thomas. When we called, he was number 8 on the list. The lady on the phone said, I've never had this many students. He is going to be a graduate of 2026. And we really it really takes a village. You know, as being tuition parents, we drove him to school or picked him up from school or had extended relatives do the same, from fundraisers to, you know, Santa House at Moyer to, you know, Fort Thomas Education Foundation. We've given to the community, and so is our extended family. So we look at the stadium as just a field. We look at the PAC as just an auditorium. It's the people that make the tradition, and we want our relatives to be able to witness the next generation. Thank you.
All right, I believe that concludes our forum. Thank you, everybody, for sharing your thoughts, and obviously that will be discussed. I don't know if there's any point of procedure or anything that needs to be answered from what was said.
Yeah, there are, and I emailed someone, so I replied to one of the emails around where board action and council action and all that intersects. And I have been here to witness graduation at NKU and at Thomas More. I did not see it in the parking lot. I've seen it on the field. I've seen it in the PAC. So we've had it in multiple locations. I've also been in Cintas Center and seen graduations. I actually joked with my sister who teaches in Bardstown, and she's at Bullitt East. I joked with her this weekend that I am one of those guys that really actually likes to go to graduations. I enjoy it quite a bit. But the board in that period of time has not been part of the location. The board is typically established parameters about when graduation, and not specific date, but what is the earliest you can do a graduation. That's been ultimately the role. Site-based councils had input. So really what we've experienced in the past, and there are opportunities to make decisions that could vary, is it is a district level and a school level administrative discussion that's informed with consultation with the board and the site-based council. And so that's been historically the mode that we've operated. There are a number of people that really do enjoy to have the location where it is, and obviously we haven't heard from those voices this evening, but I think it's an important discussion that I'll continue to seek input and direction from our Board of Education. I would expect Mr. Darnell will do the same with the site-based council, and we'll have some open discussions very soon.
So Brian, what would next steps be for parents?
Well, I think I need to consult with the board, I need to consult with John and make some of those decisions around what those next steps are. I think it's important to continue to hear your voice. I'm sorry?
I mean, consulting with the fire department,
Mhm.
just to confirm what you said about.
Yeah, that's new information. It's been there for quite some time, and it's never been an issue that's been brought up. So.
All right, so thank you, and now we will move into action items. Oh, sorry, yes, the all important. If you were here for the recognition or for community forum, while you are more than welcome to stay, it is perfectly all right to leave at this time. It doesn't hurt our feelings when the place clears out. You don't have to take that personally.
Thank you. Thank you, Jody. Thank you. That's good.
Thank you, sir.
All right, well, thank you, because some people did stay, so. And they're not paid by the district, so it's pleasant to see that. All right, so now action items, as we were teased earlier, we're gonna hear from, I guess, one last time.
One last time.
Is this your last?
I know it.
This is it.
If only the drama kids were here, I could, there's some songs, yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
Well, that was a bang too,
You have any,
right?
like a solemn look on your face?
He looks really happy. That's what it was.
Although I will say, I've been doing a bunch of half vacation days and stuff like that this month, and it's been kind of
Gearing
boring.
up for it.
Oh, you're already.
So,
You're already
I'm
there.
already bored. So,
There you go.
starting off the project update, big changes over the last few weeks up there, particularly courtesy of Most Turf Services. They have 90% of the field down. That was as of this morning. They may have 100% of the green and the lines down. Not necessarily all sewn together, not necessarily on the nailer board, but they had the underground done, they had the shock pad down, and on all the green down, and they're expecting delivery of the sand and rubber this week. Morel continues to work on the buildings. When we walked through them last week, vast majority of the locker room building, I'd say about 60% of the interior walls were framed. They continue to work on that. The only part of the grandstands that are not done are the part that has to wait until they're ready to make that connection between grandstand and press box. They gotta get the press box to a certain point. We're looking to have that completed by the end of, that part to be done by the end of July, mid to end of July. Everything is still on track for our soccer program to use the field coming off of the dead period. Weather's been pretty good of late, and then we're looking at buildings in October.
What about the track then? If they'll be able to use the field, when does the track start going?
Well, the track, we were hoping that the gravel would be down. Wriggler is the sub that's doing the track in the parking lot. I know that if there's anything I'm frustrated with right now, it's that I would have liked to have seen the gravel down. But I also know when I drive around northern Kentucky, everywhere I seem to look, I see orange barrels and a Wriggler. So they're all over doing all kind of things, but we're hoping that maybe in the next week, we'll see that gravel base down, and then the base of the asphalt immediately thereafter.
So what do you think that'll look like when, coming off dead period? Do you think there'll be a track there, or?
I think there'll be a track there, but I don't think the rubberized blue surface will be on it quite yet, and then of course it won't be lined yet.
Is that gonna work okay doing that at some point during?
We'll have to coordinate that, well, Chad will have to coordinate that a little bit.
Yeah, okay. All right, no worries about doing that at some point later.
They may have to, do one half, allowing access this way out onto the field. May have to maybe say, maybe for a day or two, we have to relocate practices to the high school because they don't want soccer balls bouncing into the materials that's being installed, things like that. So we do have a progress meeting next week.
We can push back.
Wednesday, sorry. And then we'll get a little updated schedule.
You can give it to them, it's your last time, you can just say, I need this done.
I would walk if it doesn't happen.
Are we gonna have temporary restrooms in there till the building's ready, I guess, fully?
For practices and games. The plan, you know, we've kind of had some discussions about getting them out there, you know, that first week of July.
Yeah.
You know, probably after July 4th, because some places where they'll have to go, we wanna, you know, keep available.
Yeah, cool. It's exciting.
Yeah.
So from a clarity perspective, for clarity purposes, on Wednesday, the question that we have, so I would imagine coming out of the dead period is our benchmark goal is that we can have Highlands athletics only, particularly soccer, training on that space. In order to do that, we need to have the turf down and probably at least a base coat for a parking lot, correct? And then some temporary restrooms. We come off the dead period the July 9th.
Yes.
So we'll be close, but we're gonna be pushing on that. And then the first set of games is at the end of the first week of August.
I believe so, yes.
And for that, it's electric, places to park, and places to sit, correct? So, but we have no expectations really of the buildings being fully ready until October.
Sounds good. You guys you and Jay can play good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, make it work for you.
So as Brian alluded to earlier, we do have a pay application. It is the single largest one I've ever brought to the board in, you know, the 19 years of doing this. So going out to bang. In addition to this, we also paid through a direct purchase order a little over $100,000 to the company that provided the shop pad, Schmitz Foam. I would anticipate that by the time the next board meeting rolls around, the other direct purchase orders, which are right about $400,000, will come in and be due for payment because it's for the turf and all the stuff is being delivered this week. So there'll probably be another $400,000 paid toward those next month. But pay application number 11 is for $1.6 million and, you know, $16,000 and change. We'll start talking 1.6. The staff thousands don't matter.
Yeah, this is always the hard part where I'm not accustomed to reading numbers this large. So, need to hear a motion for approval of pay application 11 to Morrell Construction Company in the amount of $1,616,826.42 for the Highlands Athletic Complex at Tower Park project.
Good job. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second.
No, second, question mark. I can't second anything, but Mr. Beach can. And all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, so with a lot of work comes a big payout. So next topic on insurance.
Insurance. So as you know, during the spring we worked with Assured Partners through their local agent Crawford Insurance on what our insurance is going to be for the next fiscal year that starts July 1. You know, as we've experienced, as many people have experienced, insurance costs are rising. There's been a lot of news nationally about that, and a lot of insurance companies are, you know, pushing premiums up and up and up. We have experienced approximately 13% increase in our premiums. It is not all due to the insurance companies, and in part it's due to the Kentucky Department of Education, which mandates you have to insure to a certain dollar amount per square foot. That dollar amount has gone up for about the 7th year in a row, and it took a relatively large leap, and that forces us to insure at a significantly higher level. Not just with the increase in property and added facilities and the size of our facilities, our insurance, we are insuring at a level at least twice what it was about 10 years ago.
Well, and we're insuring buildings that are
Bigger,
nicer.
Yes.
Not leaking.
So, on our recommendations, as you know, this past year with Bluegrass Risk Management for our property fleet, educator legal liability, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that premium's gonna jump about $40,000. Our workman's comp looked like it was gonna jump about $8,000, but they shopped around and it looks like the best path for us is to change providers from ClearPath Mutual, which we went to about 3-4 years ago, back to KEMI, Kentucky Employers Mutual Insurance. That'll save us about $4,000. Same thing with cyber. That was going to be just a small increase of about $100, but through shopping that around, they found an optional policy that is actually better cyber insurance for about $300 less. So our total cost for insurance will be $347,524 if you adopt what we've proposed in yellow.
Yeah, we talked about this on Thursday, and it's still, with the new plan that we went into last year, still a pretty good, much up saving on what the
Comparatively,
traditional was,
yeah.
Last year, as you alluded, we joined a collaborative pool with other districts within the state. And last year's savings, the year-over-year increase is going to be upwards of 30% for districts as the state's been hit regularly with natural disasters and particularly the western and eastern parts of the state. So even with this increase, which we asked the question, is it increasing at a rate that's commensurate with the rest of the industry? And even at this rate, we're still under what we would have paid last year. And they're seeing similar increases in the more traditional field. So yes, it's about what we would have probably been starting at last year.
And Jerry was mentioning shopping around, that's a benefit of the pool and the group that we're with, is that having some of those things where we can go in with the scalpel and find some more savings to be able to, on relative terms, be doing better than most, so.
We continue to work with Crawford Insurance and actually Assured Partners now to support us.
And what's not listed up there is our student accident insurance policy. That remains exactly the same as last year, same coverages, same premiums.
All right, so those items are itemized up there, but do I hear a motion for approval of insurance coverage for the 25-26 fiscal year as recommended by Assured Partners to include coverage provided by Bluegrass Risk Management, KEMI, and BRM/Crum and Forster at a total cost of $347,524 for the premium package and student accident coverage through Roberts Insurance with gross insurance at our local agent at a total cost of $33,266. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That one was a mouthful.
I was gonna say, that it's not gonna be, yeah, it's not gonna be, sewn on a pillow or anything.
It's a lot. I think, is that?
Is that your final report?
I think that is it. I think Jody's up that hot.
Yeah, I know, I feel like we need to.
I know,
give
you're
them like
saying
a-
We're gonna go back and have a seat and check email.
Okay, thank you, all right.
Thanks, Jared.
All right, continuing on with the bittersweet presentations, we're gonna hear from Jody regarding surplus equipment bid for technology.
Well, while some directors like to take money away from the accounts, there are others who like to bring money into the accounts.
Thank you, Jody.
We'll give a standing ovation.
We should give them more time. This is my final gift to you. It was at the April 14th board meeting that the board did approve the ability to put devices into surplus, MacBooks and iPads that we will no longer be using since we're refreshing the fleet. These were devices that no longer carried a warranty on them, and we're not as did not have the memory capacity that the current ones have. So we put an invitation for bids out on May 7th, and we accepted bids until 1 p.m. on May 27th. We received the largest number of bids we've ever received on a technology surplus at 19. So it took a while to go through the 19 different bids. Mr. Robinson and I looked through the different bids, and we looked at both the highest and the highest bids, and we also took a lot of scrutiny to look at the bidders who we thought provided satisfactory proof that the bidder is qualified to carry out the details of the contract as that was specified in the IFP. We do know, we are aware of that there are companies out there who are claiming assets and picking up assets that have not paid schools in the manner that were originally settled. So looking at the evaluation of making sure that the bidders were, a bidder who we felt that would be compliant in the response was extremely important. The evidence that we used for that scrutiny was to look publicly available media, make sure there was no litigation involved with that company, making sure that there was no significant negative press from any reputable sources. We were also looking at websites and literature that were provided to make sure that they had a process and a procedure for doing what they said they were doing. We looked at their bid documentation and their response within the bid documentation to make sure it was transparent and it was, prepared professionally. We also looked at the geographic footprint and proximity to look to see what their footprint was in the market, how many locations they had, and if they had local locations. Once we looked at that, we have a recommendation for what we believe is the best evaluated bid as a result of that, and that would be for the bid to go to Ingram Micro for both lots that were posted for a combined total of $500,000.
All right, we discussed a number of these bids previously on Thursday. Any questions for Mr. Johnson around that?
Well, I appreciate the work that the explanation then, and I know the work that you put in since then to dig into this, and so I appreciate that, and I feel better than I did last week when it was, sort of an unknown there.
Yeah, there were definitely some bids that do require, quite a bit of look in to make sure that, we're making the appropriate recommendation.
Right.
Yeah, it felt like we were living in the dark underworld of resale tech stuff and what's legit and not. So yeah, 19 bids is a lot for you to go through too. So good work on that.
He's like, I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing at all.
And really hats off to Jody and his team on that, because putting together 19 bids, also with some variance as to determining if how they would be graded once received. It was quite a bit. So having some criteria to evaluate what would be the best evaluated bid, I think was really, really important. And also, we budgeted about $300,000 for the purchase. So a significantly more than what we and obviously we estimated low, but I don't know that we would have expected that low or that many bids. So nice work.
We estimated what we thought would be a little low.
And that's the whole point of looking at getting such a nice amount of money to put towards, close to 3/4 coverage of an annual payment on the lease is very nice, and it's nice when that number's bigger. So yes, thank you. And obviously we want to make sure that we actually receive those funds. So that evaluation piece is very important.
Yeah, with this recommendation, I have a very, very high expectation that we will not have any issues.
Great. Well, thank you.
Do you guys have iPads?
Do it. I have a
From
mini.
here?
No.
From school?
No.
Oh, I think I still have mine.
Well, you need to turn it in because that could
Did you
go.
sell it?
Oh,
I don't believe that was part of the sale. I mean, you could have had another 1,650 if you'd like, if you just did.
That was two refreshments.
Series 3 or
You've been around for a while, we don't know,
We
it's like
wouldn't
Gen
have sold that
1,
one.
so. All right, now that Jeff has cleared his conscience on that, let's hear in terms of a motion, if there's a motion for approval to accept the submitted bids for surplus technology equipment and award Ingram Micro as the best evaluated bid.
I'll make a motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you, Mr. Johnson. I know. Maybe you should, except you still have to fix it because you are on the clock until.
Not our mark.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I think we'll hear next from Mr. Robinson around a few topics. So we're gonna start with school fees.
Yeah, a big chunk of the summer in the district office is preparing for the next school year. And so part of that process is establishing our list for board review and approval of any required school fees. School fees are assessed to students as a general fee. We have a technology fee. We have some independent fees. And then at the secondary level, we have some instructional fees as well. We do have opportunities for students who qualify financially to have support or have them waived altogether for families in need. So it does not serve as a barrier for education. On the list of fees that have been provided to you and that are attached here, from a general fee standpoint, we will see an increase of $5 for all families. And that really is to pay the majority of the student accident insurance. So it's a direct benefit to families that covers everything that insurance companies do not have. We still supplement a little bit of that, but that pays for most of it. Outside of that, there are, we tried to find a way of no other total increase for families. So there are a handful of fees that were slightly reduced. There were a couple that were increased, such as technology. Since we, with the refresh, we did have an increase in purchase for that equipment, but we tried to make sure it balanced out so it wouldn't be an increase there. We will have, and it'll be on the student level, when you look at the high school, there are a variety of courses where there were reductions in student fees for instructional materials. I can't really give you a dollar amount because it really depends on the student schedule, but we would expect at the high school level some of the fee amounts to go down. So happy to answer any questions or give any additional detail.
I mean, obviously, in the times we're living in now, all things are costing more, but appreciate the work that went into some redistribution and doing as much as possible to keep that at the same level. And I know with the insurance, that's reflective of the increase, and the district continues to supplement at the same level they had previously prior to the increase for the cost. So that is, you know, I have to kind of pass along, but that's the only pass along. So I know that's a lot of work, and it is something obviously we want to do for the families to keep that as close as we can.
Yeah, Ms. Flaherty really leads that conversation, works with Andy with balances, but then building principals and grade level leaders and department chairs to make sure that we're doing the right stuff.
Yeah, in 2025, I don't know where you can get lunch for like $3 or $4. That's so all right. Is there? I see kindergarten on here. Is there fees for preschool?
There are not fees for preschool unless you're a tuition student. So we have a portion of our preschool students that pay tuition depending on if there are slots. Most of our preschool program is really geared for students who qualify, either with developmental delays or other specific needs to be ready for kindergarten readiness.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious.
Any other questions? All right. With that then, do I hear a motion for adoption of the school fees as listed above for the 25-26 school year?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, continuing in the theme of getting the house organized for 25-26.
Yeah, as we prepare for the school year, one of the steps for schools to create school-level student handbooks and disciplinary codes starts really with a district-wide acceptable code of behavior and discipline. And so schools and site-based councils may become more strict, but they can't go less than what we set out as our parameters, or the board establishes parameters for code of behavior and discipline. Really very few changes to this year's code of behavior and discipline. There is one change as it relates to cell phones, and that'll be a policy that will come up, and we'll continue to give it a little bit of meat, but one of the things that is included in there with the ability to have a temporary confiscation of property of cell phones or devices to be returned to families at the conclusion of the day if schools would desire to go in that direction within their policies. And then there will be changes to the technology use portions that was actually removed, and it will be returned once we change the policies around traceable communication and adopt those policies formally later in the school year. But outside of that, it's very similar to last year.
I mean, oftentimes these things are kind of, to your point, reflective of state legislation or shifts and changes there that we just have to make sure we're reflecting in our own district policy. So, all right. With that being said, do I hear a motion for approval of the acceptable code of behavior and discipline for 25-26?
I'll make a motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Continuing on with policy.
Very good. So we have for your perusal a first read of policy, and there is
It's just the first page.
It is the first page. These policies are really reflective of changes from statute or regulations that occurred as a result of our general session this past spring, or the regulations that followed. There could be, although I don't recall any directly that are related to federal changes. Sometimes we'll have some shifts there, or even case law. I say this is a first read because we were provided sample policies or recommended policies at 5:10 on the last day of May. So we haven't had a significant amount of time to go through surgically in order to make recommendations. The overwhelming majority of these changes are ones that are consistent with law, and so there really would not be a lot of policy change that is involved. But there are a small handful where we'll have some additional recommendations possibly to give. Cell phones, for example, retirement leave over time, which we haven't discussed in great depth, professional development, and some of the red tape reduction act that are connected with it, cell phones. I don't think so with that one.
Is this where they made the adjustment to the primary election and school usage? That policy? Okay. Are we thinking about making that change for next year's calendar, or are we gonna wait?
So I think it's a great option. What I would suggest is that we, because it's so late, the primary election being so late into, there's not a regular election this year. So the primary election would be the first one that we could make some revisions. And it's in May. So really my recommendation at this point would be to consider that as a potential makeup day. If we wanted to revise the calendar, we needed to do that.
I think that makes sense.
There are some, when you do have schools serving as public entities, there are some considerations that you need to have during the day. But I think it does give us a great option if we need snow days.
All right.
Which now that Jerry's not here, we may have more. I don't know, Chad.
Or none.
Or none.
Yeah.
Or none. It'd be one of the two. The only policy the last one is the only one that was generated by us, and it was really to clean up some opportunities for administrators who are on 230-day calendars to be able to have some flexibility between work years. And so if they work more in one year, that it could count it, go into the next fiscal year. So basically trade days and give us some flexibility there.
Okay. Yeah, just thinking about the summer days, like that June to July.
So my recommendation would be to adopt as a first read, but I will say that there'll be some changes. Often between first and second read, you don't see significant changes. I would suggest that there are going to be a handful of shifts and adjustments before our next read in July.
And we will be spending a good amount of time going in and really looking at that. So, once again, just the first reading, the digging and the having some of those more in-depth discussions will come. So, do I hear a motion for tentative approval based on a first reading of the policy revisions?
I'll make a motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so the next one will be a very nice and
Yeah, this is a
important-
favorite one for
yeah.
preparing for today's.
Mark your calendar, payroll dates.
Yeah, so going into the next school year, it is one of the responsibilities of the board is to approve payroll dates, which will generate, our payroll department will make it, make the adjustments to make sure that people get paid. And so this is the calendar of those days. It does reflect the very similar pattern we've had for years, being the 15th and the 30th of each month. The only days that does not occur is if the 15th or the 30th fall on a weekend or a holiday.
So once again, another kind of housekeeping, annual June meeting housekeeping issue. I assume there are no questions. And with that, do I hear a motion for approval of the payroll dates for 25-26?
I'll make a motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. So, next order of business is appointment of the new board member.
Yeah, we, as you are very well aware, we had a resignation last month, which created a vacancy, at which point in that same week, we made a posting and advertised for applicants in a year where it's, especially this year without an election. The law changed several years ago, which allows the Board of Education to accept applications for qualified candidates and to interview and consider and then make a selection up until the next election time. Very pleased with our candidates. We had solid backgrounds, people with great professional service and backgrounds, and I know that perhaps you may want to speak to this before we did have some consensus as to potentially who to offer forward.
Yes, public service is not easy, and anyone willing to take that on is, we're very grateful for that. And we did have we had 3 very strong candidates that we spoke with, and once again, we're impressed in terms of their, desire to serve, their willingness to take on that responsibility, because it would be, fulfilling part of the term until that next election, and then, kind of step into that role. So we are very grateful for those individuals who stepped forward, and were willing to have that discussion with us, and ultimately have chosen individual for that position to fill that position for the remainder of time, Mr. David Russell. And, we think that the other candidates as well who were there. And as always, we encourage people, to consider, we know our community, we're very lucky to have such an involved community who is passionate about this district, to be willing to do that and willing to take on these roles and run for these offices. So it is greatly appreciated, and it's part of what makes Fort Thomas a great district to be a part of. So thank you.
Yeah, I think thanks to people, to all 3 that applied, because it's very noble that they applied for it, and I think all of us took a lot of time looking through the applications, their resumes on our own, took a lot of time that we discussed it. They were all great candidates to have, and we're fortunate to have that, so
Tough decision.
Yes.
It was a tough decision.
Yes, tough decision, and we're lucky enough to have multiple people and to have a tough decision to make. So I think with all of that, at this time, I ask for a motion to approve the appointment of David Russell to the open board seat previously held by Noah Gibson.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Then next is my area, and that is to share our evaluation of the superintendent. So as a board member, one of our, well, probably our main responsibility is the choice made in terms of choosing a superintendent and then evaluating that individual. It's very important because obviously the head of leadership in terms of the district, so we don't take that lightly, and it is a very important action that we take as board members. So we do that around this time of year, and then we share with you, the community members, what we found within that evaluation. And also I will ask or allow board members if they have other comments to share. But just to let you know, in terms of what that looks like, there are 7 areas that we do review and rate and then give feedback to Mr. Robinson or whomever sitting in that chair as superintendent. And those areas are strategic leadership, instructional leadership, cultural leadership, human resource leadership, managerial leadership, collaborative leadership, and influential leadership. And there are 4 different ratings in terms of what an individual can receive: improvement required, developing, accomplished, and exemplary. So the ratings we have reached overall for Mr. Robinson are exemplary. We spoke a great deal about specific areas in which he has demonstrated that. Also knowing that he alone is not the person demonstrating that. There's a lot of people in this room who have been a part of a team that have helped him reach that level. So while we do only evaluate one person, we are well aware that, and I do think, and I know he would say this as well, that it is many people that make all of that happen. So we value what they do as well, and think probably they share in some of that. So I would invite if any of the board members have additional comments as far as any areas that they would like to share from that evaluation.
General sentiment, don't want to share anything specific.
Well, I just like to say, you know, I appreciate the job you're doing here, and you know, I think, you know, the things that stand out to me is that you know, the way you lead the district, and you know, I can kind of see your footprints or your handprints or fingerprints all over the district in your leadership style. And so I think that goes to the leadership team that you built and put together, you know, from both the central office and in the schools as well. And so I think seeing you work as a team really, well, if you're not doing that, then you're fighting battles and you're not focusing on the kids and the students and getting there. But that part of it is big, and I also love the vision that you've got. So in that, hey, you know, it's great. We have a lot of success, and you know, everywhere. But you know, what do we do better next year? What do we do better tomorrow? So I like that part, and so it feels like you're always looking to the next step, and I feel very comfortable with you leading us in the future and taking us that next step. And you know, and then the last thing I just want to mention, because I think it's an area that you didn't have a lot of experience with when you came in, but you just really engaged the legislature and local governments, which has, you know, made already significant impacts on the district from the project at Tower. but just the relationships that you've built there. And then I feel like, you know, if you need to get engaged, you know, you've got the relationships now that, and you know, I don't know, that was an area when we did the hiring a couple years ago. Has it been a couple years? That you had at the time. So I think it was something we had talked about to say, this is something you'll have to do, and you have really stepped into it and outperformed. So I felt very comfortable doing the exemplary rating on this, and look forward to seeing more.
Thank you.
I agree. I think as we went through that evaluation, there wasn't a section where it was like, oh gosh, maybe we need to, you know, be a little bit better. You really, you and the whole team, you guys have a lot of it all. You just got it together. I mean, the planning and the vision and the when we sit down every year and start going through that, I mean, it's well put together, and communication style. We talk a lot about that. I mean, you give people the time, and you put a lot of effort in, and it's very much appreciated. So not a single section in there, I think, was it ever like, I mean, we felt like we were really hitting it out of the park in this district, as a job you and your whole group do, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the beauty of it is it's, the expectations are gonna meet an exemplary for you. I think you wanna hit exemplary every year. We do as well, so the expectations, you set us up all year round with touch points and making sure, so there are no surprises at this time. It's not hard to give you exemplaries all across the board, because if there were ever an opportunity, it's been adjusted along the way because of the way that you structure your touch points with us, with your team, and that we're always working in the same direction. So you make it easy on us, and so I really appreciate that, and thank you for it. It's not easy being the superintendent, as we witnessed even in this room tonight. So
I feel blessed to be part of this team, and to have the individuals here and those
More of them typically.
those who have started their summer. I mean, it really is it's an amazing team that works exceptionally hard, that takes deep, powerful ownership in all of the work that we do in service of this community and our students. And I'm super blessed to be here, super proud to be here, and I love our Board of Education, the wisdom and feedback that you all provide, and the guidance, and really just modeling service. So from the time that we look at who are we and then where can we go, you impact those decisions in significant ways, and it's a great joy to work with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. And I mean, it's a lot of work. You know, when I drive through town, you know, I look in the parking lot, and there's very few times I don't see your vehicle there. So I know, you know, you make it look easy, but there's a lot that's happening behind the scenes, a lot of work that's being put in. So we appreciate that. And also along with that, you know, there are things in terms of, just as we've discussed previously, and as we will continue this year, a reflection of the district pay increase that we work to give all members of staff. We also want to extend that to you as well. And then also we will amend your contract to look at that annuity piece to make sure that that is on par with what it has been previously. So those are just the other pieces in terms of changes or adjustments that will be made. So we very much value your work and the work of your team, because we know it's multiple people, as you would be among the first to say. So thank you. With all of that, do I hear a motion of acceptance and approval of the superintendent's annual evaluation with an overall rating of exemplary and a 3% increase, as well as an amendment to the annuity percentage?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, and I believe that takes us to any discussion items, board committee updates. I know Ann, our I don't know what emeritus, our emeritus board member, Ann Meyer, who's still working with, and thank you, Ann, working with our district breakfast, did meet with Nancy. I was supposed to be joining them and even had it on my electronic calendar, but did not have it on my paper calendar and missed that meeting. But that probably meant it was way more productive and they are moving forward. And plans are going into effect for, as we talk about the 25-26 school year, that kickoff breakfast. So, and I know we've reached out to members of the community who, once again, as always, have been supportive in helping sponsor that. So that is out there. Don't forget about it. Members of the community, businesses, and things of those nature, we appreciate you supporting our teachers and staff and hope you'll continue.
I think a request went out a couple weeks ago from them on that, so
Yes,
it sounds
it
like
did.
they're pretty on top of
Yeah, so
that
they,
being planned.
that is happening. We had mentioned previously, I know with Hall of Fame, those announcements have been made, and those individuals will be recognized at the blue and white scrimmage, which will be very early August. Can't remember the date off the top of my head, and at the dinner, I believe, is also that weekend. So I think those are all my committee obligations that I didn't really obligate myself to meeting. Yes, pretty much.
4th of July, everybody needs to come out for the 4th of July parade.
Yes.
We will have
Throw some
a
candy.
presence as always.
Yes, and district staff members and the firecracker 5K and then also the parade. So pretty exciting and big event in the town. So any other items? We're kind of in a summer period, right? All right, well, with that being said, do I hear a motion to get approval of the consent agenda with all board members having had the opportunity to review and pursue any questions about the items contained therein? Motion for approval of the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that leads us to the end of the meeting at 8:03. 8:02.